I mean, after the whole Lehman Brothers situation, you and your friend, Mark Beestik?
Yeah, Mark
Beestik. You guys started MSB Capital Management.
Yeah, we did a lot better with this one.
Right. But then in 2011, you guys had a naked short sale with Merrill Lynch.
It was kind of naked short sale. I wouldn't exactly say that. But yeah, we got into more trouble.
Right. Well, you guys shorted 32 million shares of Exigent Therapeutics,
it was
$250 a share.
It was an interesting trade, that's for sure.
Okay. How big was this trade when the dust settled?
It was kind of a weird trade. The company would then go bankrupt, by the way, like a year later. But at the time, the company had this weight loss drug, and it didn't work very well. And the FDA said they weren't going to approve it. I think that was what happened. And we shorted it thinking basically the company was kaput. And one of the things it was kind of interesting, and again, I probably shouldn't have done this, but what I tried to do is I actually tried to short so much stock. I wanted to see if it would lower the price, because that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So why not short as much as you can? You remember in shorting, you actually have a few days to borrow the stock.
Right, so but naked short sales when you don't borrow first, right? And that's what happened in your situation.
It's complicated. There's a lot of, technically you're supposed to get a locate, borrow the stock, and then short it.
Yeah.
The bank we had a relationship with didn't require that, which was really odd. They've since required it, as you can imagine. But they basically said, listen, as long as you get a locate at some point, we don't care.
Okay.
And what I found out that day was really fascinating. I found out that Renaissance actually bought all the stock we shorted.
Oh, okay.
And since you brought it up. And it was really fascinating because there's this little weird rule in the stock market that if you're a broker-dealer, which is a weird thing to be, most hedge funds don't need to be a broker-dealer because you don't have any customers. It's not like you're going to call me up and say, I want to place a trade. You don't have an account here. We're a hedge fund. You could be a limited partner, but we're not a brokerage. So a lot of these quantitative funds, like Renaissance, they have broker-dealer licenses. And when you have one of those, it's not hard to get. You no longer have to borrow before you short. You no longer have to disclose that you own more than 5% of a company. So I shorted so much of this company, like a massive amount. I said, who's buying this? Why isn't the price dropping? And they were just sitting there buying and buying and buying. And normally, in fact, Elon's getting in big trouble over this right now. When you buy more than 5% of a company, you have 48 hours to disclose it.
Yeah.
He took 9 days. So the SEC is trying to sue him. They're actually trying to stop him from being a CEO, which is wild.
Well, I mean, just for everyone who's watching this, shorting is extremely dangerous because of this reason. If you buy a stock for, let's say, $10,000 and you buy it long and the company goes completely out of business, your maximum loss is $10,000.
100%, yeah.
If you short a company at $10,000 and then it becomes worth $1 million the next day.
You're on the hook, yeah.
You're on the hook for $990,000. You could easily go past your initial investment in a bad short.
In a really bad short,
In a really bad short.
Most of the time, that's not what happens, right?
Right. And when companies, when you short companies, because it's usually they're on their way out, they kind of have this death rattle that happens all the time. It's sort of like, it's going out of business. Oh, wait, Microsoft's come out. There's a rumor that so-and-so is going to invest in them. So suddenly they jump up 500% out of the blue and then drop back down again. And it's very, I've shorted here and there. I remember I tried shorting Barnes & Noble or Best Buy, and I just didn't have the temperament.
It's funny because I've actually, that's the worst short I've ever had, but I've actually made tons of money shorting over the years, probably $500 million or something.
You made $500 million
shorting stocks, yeah.
Shorting stocks.
Yeah. I mean, for funds and things like that. Myself as well, of course.
Wow.
For myself, maybe $100
million.
Yep. I mean, in pharma, it's very easy to figure out what drugs don't work because typically there's some sign. There's actually several signs. There's clinical signs where the drug just isn't helping anybody, right? And you can see that. Okay, the cancer patients aren't living any longer than they should be. The drug probably doesn't work, but people hope. They have a lotto ticket. They're like, this thing just might work and it might be the next Pfizer. And it's like, nah, it's probably not the next Pfizer.
Right.
And then there's scientific reasons why, like, oh, this drug is supposed to stop this enzyme, but it turns out if you do a little reading, the enzyme has nothing to do with cancer, and it's just like so preposterous that it would actually cure the cancer. But some moron, suckers are born every day. They're hoping that, this is the lotto ticket, and it usually doesn't work out. So every year, there's usually at least 2 or 3 drug companies where there's no chance it's going to work. There's hundreds of drug companies that fail. But there's 2 or 3 that are just like, there's no chance. And they're usually pretty safe to short. But as you can imagine, if it doesn't work out, you could be on the hook. If it is a cancer cure, like you just said, you could be in big trouble.